Good morning and welcome to ptm.org's Breakfast with Brad. And for breakfast today, my wife made me a wonderful omelet featuring some farmer sausage, tomatoes, onions, green peppers, and so on, but also pico de gallo, whatever that means. And this is going to be delicious. Some of you have been asking about this scar here on my face. That's not true. Nobody asks about it. When I was grade 1, I stepped out from behind a batter's cage just as a child, threw his bat, and it came at me head on. And let me tell you, the substitute teacher had a full-on panic attack as my eye swelled up and blood began rolling down my face. No damage to my eye, but as you can see, it screwed up my modeling career pretty badly. Speaking of Gore, in our Moving On series, I want to talk a little bit about genocide. Are we meant to believe that the Abba revealed by Jesus Christ, who said, "Love your enemies," and then proceeded to forgive them as he was being tortured and crucified by them, honestly really commanded genocide of men, women, children, toddlers, infants, and even domestic animals to wipe out entire nations in the Old Testament? Is that how we're to read these things literally? And for some, that's a real deal killer. And in fact, it's allowed to be. And so let it be a deal killer, not of your faith, but over a literalistic read of the ancient texts of these people who definitely had a revelation of God who was with them and journeying with them, who they knew, but also that in their accounts of their journey with God, as my friend Pete N says, God let them tell the story. And in doing so, you will get some of their worldview, some of their prejudices, and their need for violence begins to really also embed itself in the story. I'm not just saying this because I find genocide unpalatable, immoral, and undivine. I'm also saying it because part of our hearts wants it. And maybe you're really pure and there's no violence in your heart at all, but I know that for me, sometimes God it's not that he's too wrathful, it's that he's not wrathful enough. Or if he's wrathful, he's not very good at it. And I have a list for him that he seems to ignore. And so with the psalmist, we have these prayers, imprecatory prayers we call them. They're very angry, and I find them helpful because they can get your anger out of your heart and into God's presence, where then you can open up your heart to hear him say, look, you're going to need to get that malice out of your heart. You're going to need to learn to forgive as my son forgave. And you're going to need to read the Bible and those Old Testament texts through the eyes of ones who've been redeemed and changed and made new creations of love by our Lord Jesus Christ, who is the perfection of God revealed. And that's all I have to say today on Breakfast with Brad.